Hi, and welcome to the SEO podcast, Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing. My name is Chris Burris, owner of eWebStyle.
I am Charles Lewis, your Internet Marketing Specialist.
Welcome back to another fun-filled edition of our podcast.
Yes.
We are broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and we have a tip from our previous podcast. By the way, this is podcast number 247.
Yes.
That's almost like a Hallmark. We're getting to like 250s around the corner.
Like we might have to start getting paid for this.
Yeah. I like how you think. Our tip from our previous podcast was include action words in your page titles like apply, buy, shop. This can set the tone for the visitor interaction.
Definitely not only sets the tone, but yeah, puts them in the right frame of mind. Because when you think about it, that page title should be what's shown in that search result page.
Right.
And so if that's the first impression, if you will, of what people are going to see before they even click, by telling them, you know, the link that they're going to click on says apply or buy or purchase. And so they're clicking, understanding that they will likely apply for something or purchase something. And
Maybe
so
a better way to put it is if they're not intending on applying for something or purchasing something, they won't click it.
they won't click it.
Yeah.
Or maybe they will.
Right.
And then maybe seeing that changes their mind. Oh, okay, I will have to purchase this. And at least the visitor who ends up at your site is already emotionally ready to make a purchase. Or to do whatever action it is that you had listed in the page title.
To follow that CTA.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that's a great tip. All right, please remember, we are your friendly local neighborhood top position snatchers.
Yes.
Where our mantra is,
Don't be a douche.
if you can, you have a device, you could please tweet now. What should
I
they
was
tweet,
looking for
Chuck?
my device. I can't find it.
You had it moments
I had
ago.
Here it is.
It has disappeared. There it
You
is.
should tweet this. That's right behind me. Tweet
Yep.
hashtag SEO podcast. This is number 247. Be sure to tag us in it at Best SEO Podcast at eWebStyle. That way we can follow you back and do all of our social networking stuff.
Excellent. Hey, check this out. If you're watching the video, look, it's our new Post-it tabs.
Yeah.
They look awesome. You really should download the video just for that.
Just for that right there.
if you're
And
you're
for
just
the special
listening.
effect you're about to see in a minute.
Oh yeah, this special effect rocks. All right, if you could do us a small favor, if this is more than your first podcast that you're listening to, please help us out. Write us a review. There's 3 ways to do that. We make it really easy. One of them has 3 steps. Go on to iTunes, create an account, write a review. If you choose to, you can actually go send us an email, podcast at
e-webstyle.com.
and let us know you submitted a review. We will give you a punch in the face. And if this is your second podcast, you probably now know that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
That is a good thing. Next, you can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/
eWebstyle.
and when you're there, there's a review button. Go ahead and leave a review. Hopefully, in both cases, you're leaving a 5-star review. And next, you can actually go to our G Plus account. It's like, nope. G Plus account. We've made it incredibly easy to get to that.
Simple, and I'm about to add one more to that.
Okay, cool. So the way you get there is e-webstyle.com/
Google Plus.
and /
Google Plus.
or /
G Plus.
or /
G Plus.
leave out the
Yeah, don't put the or don't put none of that. You don't have to do this either. That won't help you not one bit.
gesturing and nobody's gotten that right on their gesture recognition software yet.
That would be almost.
It's coming.
You think about Xbox
360.
Live. Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's
so it's
we're Minority Report around the corner. So when you get to G Plus, we want you to do 3 things.
Yeah,
please.
we want you to do 3 things when you get there. Very quick things. It take you less than 3 clicks to do all of these things. The first one and most important one, leave us a review.
Yep.
Hopefully it's 5 stars, and we so appreciate it. While you're there, put us in a circle and give us that +1, please.
Our +1 to review ratio is still out of whack.
Yeah.
We need your help. And finally, I said 3 ways. There's actually a 4th way, and apparently soon there's going to be a 5th way. Stitcher, Stitcher.com. Look for our podcast. In fact, if you just type Stitcher and then put in a space and then type in SEO podcast, we'll come up. And when you get there, click the review, write a review, please. It's just all the ways you can haunt us and stalk us. Facebook.com/
eWebstyle.
Twitter.com/
eWebstyle.
YouTube.com/
eWebstyle.
Instagram.com/
eWebstyle. Yeah.
That was good. If you are a PHP expert, WordPress extraordinaire guy, guru, we're interested in working with you.
We need to talk. So
if you're interested in working with world-class experts, submit an audio resume, 713-510-7846. That's 510-7846. And we'll be in contact, maybe, depending on how that resume sounds. Referral program. If you have a client who they need some services, internet marketing, you send them to us, they pay their bill, we pay you. I like it. Free website analysis. Go to our website, e-webstyle.com, and you will find a form somewhere, everywhere.
Right there in the middle, if you go to the home page, click that button that says free website now and fill it out.
You'll be in good shape. Now it's time for our segment with the unbelievable video effect. It's the algorithm cataclysm. Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
That was good.
That was definitely, and it was worth that good one.
Yeah.
So today's Algo Cat.
By the way, this was like 4th podcast in a row with Algo Cat. Because we had a dry spell there.
We had a long dry spell.
Kind of
What's
a good,
been noticing
good thing.
is Bing. Last podcast was Bing.
All right.
Podcast before that was Bing, and today is Bing.
I was just looking at a website today. One of our potential clients actually punched in the face to John. If he's listening, he's connected. Maybe that's him right there. Yeah, hey John. And they were getting more traffic from Bing than from Google.
Well, look, Bing is rolling out. So a couple things. First off, Bing Ad Center is following the steps of Google AdWords. Right, so they're rolling out. They're going to start testing the default close variants and getting rid of the different match types.
Okay.
Remember, last week the week before last, we reported that Google AdWords was rolling out close variants instead of exact match options now in regards to your AdWords pay-per-click campaign. What that meant was no longer
less control.
Basically, yeah, you could no longer exact match your phrases. If anybody searches for a term that's a close variant, then your ads will still show. And so Bing is basically testing the same thing. Cool thing, Bing Maps now has Street View.
Okay, cool. I wonder if they're different. It'd be kind of cool just to compare them.
Yeah, I want to know how they're doing it because I haven't seen any Bing cars riding around.
Yeah, or heard of any, yeah.
And so I'm just interested. Like, is the Bing car probably an SUV?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe. Bing Mobile.
And so, cool. We'll come back to that.
By the way, there's a game that I've played. You go on, look for like Google Street View game, and it'll drop you in a Street View randomly, right? So you just have and you get to click around in, so you can't see the map, but you got to figure out where you're at, and then you get the full globe, and you guess where you're at, and it tells you how far off you are.
That's kind of cool. If I just had some time.
Yeah. First. Step 1, purchase time.
Yeah.
Step 2, play game.
Play game. Pretty cool. And so the third one, this is actually kind of cool. So Bing rolled out an app linking. So if you do a search on Bing on a mobile device, then your search results will include links to apps that can offer assistance for whatever
Google
you're
did that a while ago, right? So they're very cool.
Catching up. So punch in the face to Bing, man. Kudos on the catching up. Although you are my what news later today, but we'll get to that later.
By the way, that news is what? What were you thinking?
Exactly.
All right, you have some tips? You want to get into
news? I got
news?
a punch in the face. Then we'll get into the news. This punch in the face goes to Ed Cole. He hit us up on Twitter at TurkeyFace77, which was cool. He actually tweeted us a 55-second video on how to leave Stitcher reviews.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So punch in the face to you, dude.
Boom.
Appreciate it. I retweeted it, and I'll likely start sending that out every week.
Yeah, and maybe stick it on our Facebook page or something. Yeah, very cool. All right, so just a little bit of news. Amazon buys Twitch. You know what Twitch is?
Right, that's what Twitch is.
But that's what a Twitch is, yes. Okay. So I'm not surprised you don't know because I didn't.
I've heard of Twitch. It's a Go ahead.
It's a passive video game website.
Okay.
And by passive I mean it's dudes playing and people watching dudes play video games. And they have people.
It's kind of cool, actually.
So
as a gamer or a former gamer, I used to be a huge gamer. You know, it was one thing to be in a room with other gamers and watch them play.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of okay. So
yeah. No, it's a little odd though, right? Because we're not gamers anymore, so I get it and I don't get it at all.
Yeah, right.
My nephews, I heard about it because one of my nephews, just will watch hours of
people
somebody
playing
else
games.
playing a game. And I'm like, that's weird. And he was trying to make the point, well, it's the same as playing sports. And with me, I actually don't I know you're a big sports watcher, and yeah, Twitch is for streaming is what we're getting from the peanut gallery around here.
Gamer,
yeah,
right?
that's a gamer. He knows what Twitch is. So I don't watch.
Who bought it? He probably was mad at that.
Amazon.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, and it's like a $1 billion buy or something. I
It's a
can't
huge
remember.
deal. It's a
Yeah,
huge deal.
big deal. And so what was interesting is they're like, Amazon is serious about gaming, and I'm like, well, no, they're serious about streaming because Twitch isn't about gaming,
profiles,
right?
yeah.
It's not like buying the NBA. It's like buying ESPN, right? So anyway, I thought that was interesting. Snapchat has a value. They're looking for some small fundraising. They're valued at $10 billion. They have 100 million users. Yeah. So 100 million users, that's a value of $10 per user. No, $100 per user. So how does one user translate to $100? It's interesting. And maybe there are more than 100 million now.
By keeping their data and saying it's not their account.
Yeah, exactly. And I also read a whole bunch of other interesting. It's actually not the teens who are sexting. It's like the 22 to 28-year-olds, not the teens. The ones who are supposed to be more responsible and know not to do that.
It's the ones who have officially moved out of their parents' house, and now I can do whatever I want to do.
Well, that, and you also, like, let's be realistic. As a teen, you're like a little awkward about your body and everything. You get to your 20s, it's also when usually
You develop.
Yeah, you've got a little more maturity. So you sexed. And then finally, I actually just downloaded this app. Have you heard of Nextdoor? So it's an app that just connects you with people in your neighborhood.
Okay.
Right? So you can only connect to a small area. And I don't know, like, so I connected to my area. I literally have this little neighborhood that's 3 blocks only, actually. So it actually showed me the area. I don't know what would happen in Houston. There's an area, a city called Bel Air, a municipality called Bel Air. So I don't know if it would include all of Bel Air or just 5 streets around where you're at in Bel Air. But it's kind of cool. So it's there. You can share things like, my dog's missing. They're actually getting some press because by sharing it on Nextdoor, pictures of like a car, like somebody had a package delivery that got thieved, lifted, stolen, and they saw the car but couldn't read the license plate. They asked around the neighborhood. In Nextdoor, they found it. They're in custody. They stole milk. I don't know why you get in custody for stealing milk, but that's another part of the story. All right, so we have a couple reviews. Notice no tear tattoos.
I noticed that.
Punch in the face to Deanna Atha. It says, the podcast is top notch. My marketing director, Ian, listens to them in binges and loves it.
Binges?
Yeah, I like it in binges.
That's you, marketing guy.
Ian, marketing guy Ian. These guys are super knowledgeable. Thanks, guys. And that was from G+. Thank you, Deanna, or Diana.
I wonder how I was going to say how bad, but how good are his binges?
Yeah.
Is he like podcasts,
like
20 podcasts at like David Hunter?
At double speed, yeah.
At hyper speed, or is it, that's awesome.
3 or 4 at regular speed. I'm just spitting all over my iPad here. And next we've got from Stitcher. Thank you. This one is 5 stars. This is UV Films. It says, new listener, great advice. I have found your podcast in suggestions in Stitcher. By the way, that's awesome. Have listened to the newest episode and like it. Can't wait to listen to old podcasts and new ones. Punch in the face to UV Films. Probably in Texas somewhere. As hot as it is, we need all the UV films we can get. Like triple layer that thing. And finally, we have a question. This question came to us through our email address, and our email address is podcast@e-webstyle.com. It's from Chris Hall in the UK. He says, loving the shows. My question is regarding static home pages versus posts. I post daily and improving my posts for SEO as well as interesting and improving my posts for SEO as well as interested and want to know, is there a major difference between having, I should read these before on the air, having a static home page which I can edit once a week and have recent posts listed to the side compared to just having a usual news post feed? So that's a separate page, that's a news post feed, or should I have one of those small, kind of sections that has news posts.
That has the latest post or news feeds of this name.
And this next part is cool. When I search my domain, it lists the latest news I have posted as the meta description, rather than detailing the details of the website and what we do. So that's instead of using your description title tag, description meta tag, it's actually grabbing the latest
the
news.
meta information from the news feed.
Yep. Rival companies all have static home pages, but most
typo.
SEO guides, most SEO guides say that it should have the post showing. Hope you can shed some light on this. Kindest, Chris. Punch in the face,
to you, Chris Hall. Thank you for submitting your question.
It's a punch in the face. That's my Scottish punch in the face.
Oh, that was Scottish?
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was.
It's too short. If I get longer, you can
sneeze.
It's a punch in the face.
So your first question. I am a firm believer in having static content on your homepage. Content that you can write specifically for the homepage that targets users who land on the site immediately. I'm also a firm believer in optimizing that homepage. That meta description, you may want to implement some schema or something like that to have a little bit more control over what description is being shown. Part 2 of your first question, I also believe you should have related posts and news feeds and things of that nature on your homepage, maybe in a sidebar or below the content area or somewhere. If you indeed blog or have news updates frequently, it's worth having them on the homepage.
Yep.
It's that important. I believe that your news feeds are probably showing in search results instead of your optimized homepage content because those pages are probably more relevant to the search.
Well, so he said when he searches his domain.
Oh, when you say for the domain, exactly.
So that makes sense. Like it doesn't need to show your name. They're searching for you. This is the most recent news
that you've published.
About it relevant to your domain name. So
What was the
that
second
actually
question? that makes sense.
That makes perfect
searching
sense.
your domain name. Yeah. Well, here's the latest news from this domain name. I could see why Google.
Yeah, and he said rival companies, but that's it. That's the whole question.
I would So to answer your question, yes.
You're doing the right thing.
And there is really no big difference from a URL perspective in regards to posting pages because at the end of the day, they still, after the slash, if you're using WordPress, you probably are, they look the same. And so there's no really difference there. The only difference is from an admin perspective, how you organize the site, or they be in a category or not, or versus, that sort of layout. But I recommend homepage content and using those latest posts.
Yeah, and don't worry about what you're seeing. It makes sense because you're searching for your domain name. Probably if you're searching for keywords where you rank well or at all, when you get there, it's not showing the latest news. If that's true, send us another email. But we'd love to know about that. That'd be odd.
How many searches do you get for your domain name?
Right.
Like if you get tons of people searching you by name, then it may be worth doing something different so you can have more control over what they see when they search. But if it's just you kind of testing to see what happens, then you should be seeing your latest news.
I think that's know your audience, and we've talked about that a couple times, once or twice
before. Appreciate your question, Chris. Punch in the face to you for submitting it.
Excellent. All right, that is the potatoes of our podcast. Time to get into the meat.
Great. Today's meat, man, is I want to give a punch in the face to Mona Elisili, and I'm so sorry if I screwed that up. She posted an article on Search Engine Land called 10 Form Optimization Tips for Landing Pages.
10 Form Ooh, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, 10 Form Optimization Tips for landing pages. And we talk about SEVO all the time here, which is, our term for search engine visitor optimization. And the whole concept of that is making sure that when visitors land on your site that they take the desired action that you want them to take. In this case, let's say that action is a form. And so she has an article, 10 tips on how to optimize those forms to get more form submissions. So let's dig right into it. Number 1, she says include a privacy line. She goes on to say, try something like, we respect your privacy, or we do not provide information to third parties. This is key. And even though part of me feels like that's kind of standard information, you're just putting it there, the other part of me is like, appreciate it. I really hope you won't give my information out. And so I definitely agree. I think it is a necessary statement, especially if you're in one of those situations where industry specific. You're submitting a certain type of information, then it's definitely worth being there.
Or not even type of information. So let's just say, I think probably one of the things that come out of this article is
legal, your health,
Well, one of the things that will come out is a much short, have a short form. So no matter the industry, you're probably going to have name, phone number, email, maybe comments, right? So if you got those 4 things, if you're submitting because you're looking for AC work, not such a big deal. Privacy, probably not that big of a concern. You should have a privacy statement somewhere.
Yeah.
If you're submitting because it's a DUI, we have a client who's a DUI attorney, and if somebody's
leave
asserting
some comments about when you got pulled over and how you got pulled over and what you got caught with, then yeah, that statement means a lot.
I think even if you don't include that information, you're actually submitting something on a DWI. You don't need anybody knowing. You want to know that your information is going to be held privately, more so than if you're on an AC website or whatever.
By the way, speaking of that client, and we'll get back to this, I'm realizing that due to the nature of his business, it is becoming increasingly difficult to get him reviews.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to leave a review that, man, he helped me get out of jail. He helped me.
Yeah.
I was driving drunk and he got me out of that. People don't leave those kind of reviews.
I was talking to somebody, and it may have actually been David, and he says that for whatever reason, a DUI is just. It's not. Don't get me wrong. It's bad. Don't do it. In terms of legal scale of severity, it's just a misdemeanor, and so people will have a misdemeanor. I don't know where battery fits in it, and not be that concerned about it. But if they have a DUI, they freak out and they want to get it. That's why DUI attorneys can do good, because there's a lot of social stigma associated with the DUI as opposed to whatever vandalism or whatever else might be is a misdemeanor.
Yeah, so I agree. Include a privacy line. It increases the trust.
Yeah,
is what I wrote, and you really want to increase that trust in order for somebody to submit your form. Number 2, and Chris was just speaking on this, go for fewer form elements. She says the idea is to ease into a relationship with your prospects. You don't want to startle or put buyers on edge by asking too many questions. And I totally agree. And I put, especially if your sales process is, let's say, dependent on phone calls, then there's no need to have 7 or 8 different fields on your form, like the event date or how many people going to be there or whatever it is, because you're going to ask those questions on the phone.
Yep.
And so,
as nice as it is to have know what they're going to be looking for, it's not worth. So
it's not worth reducing the amount of forms you get.
We read an article. It was something like 10% reduction in form submissions
per
field. Per field. Think about that. So every field you're removing, you're adding. The math doesn't work in exactly reverse, but you're adding 10% more people submitting. So get those people, get them on the phone. Who cares if you don't know what they're going to do? You got a script. You're probably re-verifying that anyway.
Yeah. So get them on the phone. Number 3, take up less space with form fields. She says the game is to have fewer elements on the page. And I agree. And one of the things we've actually done default for all
across
clients,
the board,
across the board for anybody, is when we create contact forms, we put the label inside of the text field. So that way it doesn't say name and then a space for a field. There's just the space, and inside that space it says name.
So when
that
you
takes
click
a
in it,
form from this long to this long. Too bad you're probably listening to this right now and can't see my wonderful finger demonstration.
It was brilliant, by the way. It was amazing. It was equal to the other symbol that you did earlier.
Yeah, that I don't even remember.
Yeah.
But we do that, and so decrease the space between fields. Don't double space them and have all this thing because maybe it looks styled and pretty, and you have a lot of white space you're trying to fill up. Nope, you're just making a form that looks long, even if it's really not.
Yeah, I think I did a demo for one potential client where I just took the exact same short form and just spread it out on a page. And yes, that form looks intimidating. The exact same form, smaller in a small box in the corner. I was like, yeah, I'll fill that one out. The other one was too big. It's the same amount of elements.
Same field, same everything. So more screen real estate. So yeah, take up less space. Number 4, she says use optional form fields. She goes on to say prospects are able to provide more information if they like, but they aren't forced to. And I totally agree. One of the things we're going to try out was having optional form fields where it's a pop-up. And so once you hover over submit before you click it, you may get a pop-up that can ask you for that additional information, and you can fill it out if you choose to.
So the logic being the form is still not intimidating.
The form is still short.
So we're really short. You're about to submit, and you're like, oh, you know what? Because the reality is some people just want to express. Like if I got a DUI somebody got a DUI and they just want to talk about it.
Yeah,
right?
that optional form field is a comment box.
Let them have that opportunity. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'll say, yeah, put the with the pop-up or drop-down. Those are different ways you can use optional form fields. Number 5, try a 2-page lead form.
Done that.
Great.
Yep.
She says, she compared it to dating. I thought this was kind of cool. She said, if you ask your date 100 questions right off the bat, you're likely to freak them out and won't get a second date.
Yep.
It's more effective to ask questions over a longer period of time.
Coffee first, beds. I mean,
like coffee, then a drink,
Drink,
then
and
a
then
bed.
a bed.
In that order. But 2-page lead forms worked. We had a couple clients where we did that, where they started off with the short form. Dude was buying used cars.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
it was just a quick form: name, email, phone, location, submit, and he got your lead
All
information.
right. Should we give away a free tip on this one? All right. The free tip is when they fill out that short form, make sure that generates an email either into your lead generation system somewhere, so that if they don't fill out the full form,
You
can
captured
still call
that
them.
lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the short form was filled out. It populated his Salesforce database, and then the client was presented with a longer form. Hey, we got your name. We'll be contacting you shortly, and to talk about picking up your car. In the meantime, what kind of car is it? Year, make, model, date. Okay, and he went through all these other information. And ironically, the good part about it was like every other short form submission. 5 minutes later, the long submission came right behind it.
Right.
And so people will actually fill them out
Yep.
if they have a vested interest in what you offer.
Yep.
So if it's necessary for you to capture that much information, then try a 2-page lead form.
For sure.
It can work for you. That was number 5. Number 6, include a lead form above the fold. She says
Yeah.
the best place lead forms convert is in the upper right-hand corner of a page. And I totally agree. I think about Manny.
Yep.
For example, we had a client where we had a shorter citing banner, and we had the form right next to the banner, and we put it there for a reason. And the client was just like, "Oh, it looks out of place. It shouldn't go there. It shouldn't go there." And so they, we give a recommendation and supporting reasons behind that recommendation. Then we do what the client says.
Then we put it where they want it. Yeah.
And so-
for a short period of time.
Yeah, exactly. So we ended up putting it where the client wanted it. We moved it down, and what happened is they saw a huge decrease in form submissions, like immediately. They went from getting 5 or 6 a day to like 2, and after 3 days, she was like, "Whoa, what's
you
going
put
on?
that
Can
back,
you put
please?"
what that happened to my form? Is my site broken? No, your site's not broken.
Well, yes, at your request.
Yeah. So once we put the form back, then their form submissions went higher. So yeah, we definitely believe in including a form above the fold.
Absolutely.
And not more than just above the fold, but
Prominently.
prominently
Yeah.
and highest. The higher on the page, the better.
Yeah.
Number 7, use compelling words on submit buttons, like get a free obligation quote or get a quote now. And instead of just submit or search or
Yeah.
whatever your button text is, I'll say use words that are consistent with your CTA. So we was talking
What you're
about
trying
our
to
tip
accomplish,
earlier.
yeah.
If in your page title it says apply or purchase, and that's what they clicked on to get to your site, and then they get to your form, the submit button should say apply or
Yep.
purchase or whatever it is. So
And
that
maybe
way-
more,
Yeah.
but should definitely say apply. Yeah.
Yeah, you want that consistency, and so that way people have a better understanding of what they're actually doing. They are applying for something, or whatever it is you're asking them to do. Number 8, design buttons that convert. Interesting.
Yep.
She says, my absolute favorite button colors are orange and blue, as they tend to provide the best conversions. Interesting. I'd like to see the data that supports that.
Yeah, me too.
I like this. She also says, if size is appropriate, you should be able to see both the buttons and the wording on the buttons if you're walking by the computer. That's a great test.
Yeah.
If I can walk by
I call
and
it the
see,
drop test.
Yeah, walk by and I can see apply, then
That's a
you're
good
doing
design.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll say this: make sure that the button fits your site style. Right? If your site is corporate and straight lines and open and this and that, don't have no buttons that are round and funny looking that
Discoed out.
that aren't consistent with the design of your site. because nobody's gonna click it because it looks out of place.
Yep.
And so yeah, make sure that if you are using custom buttons that they're consistent with your site. Number 9, sentence casing is better than phrase casing. Yeah, I thought they were the same. I will say this though, casing works, especially in ads, and so I'll reference this in regards to a CTA. She's talking about forms, and so maybe you have a form, the labels on the forms, like what is the best time to call you. Work on your casing. Capital W, capital I, capital T, capital C, right? The first letter of each word makes those forms, makes the phrases and the sentences
Pop.
makes them pop,
Yeah.
makes them easy to read, kind of draws your attention.
And
there.
she's sentence case is where it's just the first letter that's capitalized.
And instead of
the whole phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah. So play around with it
Yeah.
because it's going to work different. Like again, if you're really corporate and buttoned up, you got to use sentence case, right?
Period, because that's how your content is structured.
And if you're if you're off the wall or whatever, some urban website, you could definitely case it. You could case it randomly. I mean, and it might actually close better.
I'll drop this in there, especially if you're doing like pay-per-click. Casing is extremely important at that point because you really need your ads to stand out. I always do phrase casing.
Yeah.
First letter of every word, and ads tend to have a higher click-through ratio.
Yep.
Number 10, last one, and I disagree with. She says, don't ever use CAPTCHA on forms.
Ooh.
I disagree. I get it.
So she doesn't offer an alternative?
No, she just says don't use CAPTCHA on forms.
Wow.
And so I get why you say that because CAPTCHA can very
it's annoying as hell.
Yeah, it turns away people, especially if it's one of those. Don't use a hard CAPTCHA.
Yeah.
Like if it's one of those ones with they got the new ones with like the background image was moving and
Right,
then the
right.
words were floating.
So the words are easy to read, they're just moving a little.
Yeah. It's like type this sentence here. Like man, I can't see the sentence.
Right, yeah.
So don't do one that's gonna force me to have 3
You know what we
attempts.
recommend for a CAPTCHA? Use that
Branded
opportunity to
CAPTCHA.
do a branded CAPTCHA.
Branded CAPTCHA.
So we actually got rid of CAPTCHAs because we do believe it's an extra form field. It makes the form more intimidating, less likely to fill out. And we use something called a honeypot. So just Google form honeypot. You'll find it out. It's actually pretty cool. It works really well. Prior to that, in
We
our
were doing the
CAPTCHAs,
branded CAPTCHAs.
our CAPTCHA was
eWeb.
eWeb. Right? So it was an image of eWeb. So yes, if somebody decides that ours is the website that they want robots to submit forms on, all they need to do is figure out that it's eWeb and the image never changes, right? But we don't have that kind of volume, and a lot of the websites you're going to be dealing with don't have that kind of volume. You don't have to worry.
Yeah.
By the way, you can test it. Right? Just stick up, if you're Walmart, just put Walmart or low prices or
whatever it
their
is.
little thing is. And so now you're rebranding
Free
on the
quotes. I mean,
Yeah.
you can brand the CAPTCHA, and the subliminal messaging behind it is that people actually have to type this.
Yep.
And so whatever your branded CAPTCHA is a form of marketing.
Yep.
And so take advantage of that.
Yep.
And I'll say this, I added this on. It kind of depends on the industry, right? Some industries you may get hundreds of form submissions all the time. And if a bulk of those are spam, then you best to have a CAPTCHA on them.
Yeah.
However, you may be in an industry where you don't get that many form submissions. And so you don't want to use a CAPTCHA to prevent whatever forms that you do get.
Yep.
So take caution. We recommended a branded CAPTCHA or check out the honeypot for your form submissions.
Works really good.
So
Good stuff.
that was Mona.
Punch in the face too.
Yeah, punch in the face to Mona. Elisa Lee, I think I got it right
Elisa
that
Lee.
time. Over at Search Engine Land, great article. We'll post it on Facebook and tweet it and do all of that stuff.
And give you a tip next podcast. All right, so I know that we have a little bit of one of our favorite sections. It is called What?
Yeah, so this What News goes back to Bing.
Bing.
Remember I was talking about them
Right,
earlier.
so they did good algo categorism changes.
Yeah.
And now
And so one of them, the Algo Cat, was the street side view, right?
Right. they call it street side view.
Street side view.
Yeah.
Now the street side view is also part of my What News.
Okay, right.
Unfortunately, it's only available on Windows 8.1.
What? Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, that's my least favorite operating system, actually.
Yeah.
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 Wow,
so,
that sucks.
like I was willing when I first read it. I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool. I'm gonna go see it."
Yeah. No, you're not.
I'm not gonna go
You can't
see
see it on your
But I
Mac
can't see it,
Pro.
period.
You can't go see it on your Windows 7 machine.
or my phone.
Even Windows 7, even their own. Wow. That's
that's counterintuitive.
maybe the attempt is to get more people to use Windows 8. So you're going to use Yeah, you're gonna use like a less popular search engine to try and drive people to use the most popular operating system, except the newer version. I don't see any logic there. Yeah.
Yeah, and this week's word of the week is trolling.
Trolling.
Yeah, that's when you use social media or digital media to harass people. What's the word I'm looking for? To heckle people and things like that, and bother
Bully.
people. Yeah,
Online bullying. Trolling.
Yes, trolling. So if you don't do that, man.
Yeah, it's a bad look.
That's douches.
That's very douche. I was gonna say douche-alicious, but that sounds nice.
Yeah,
Almost. I don't know how that works. All right, you have been listening to the most popular SEO podcast on iTunes in Houston, in the United States,
planet,
known universe.
galaxy.
We're working on the unknown universe. We just haven't found it yet. This is podcast number 247.
When we find it, though, we will likely name it like top position snatchers.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Isn't it? Remember, we're looking at a client this week. It's top 3 position snatchers.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Oh yeah.
1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's you guys who have made us the most popular SEO and internet marketing podcast. We are broadcasting live from 5999 West 34th Street, Suite 106, Houston, Texas. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until the next podcast, my name is Chris Burris.
Charles Lewis.
Bye-bye for now. Thanks, John. Hope you enjoyed it.